With Fashion Week coming up, it's the perfect time to unleash your creativity. Let me show you how to use Illustrator and Photoshop to design unique patterns and then add them to your models for your next upcoming collection. So, before we dive into Illustrator and actually start creating the patterns, we need to know what is trending right now, what colors are trending, what fashions are trending. So, in the desktop application, if you come again to the web section, you will see if you scroll down, there is something called Adobe Color. Adobe Color has been around for about 15 years or so, and it is really great for a number of reasons. If you need to check accessibility, but we are looking at fashion today. So you will be able to see Adobe Color has been around for about 15 years, and it is really a very useful tool in order to be able to make your own kind of color swatches that you want to be able to use. You can actually extract a color from a theme if you have an image or something. But today we're going to go and look under the trends. And in here, we're going to see what is currently trending at the moment relating to the colors that are being used in fashion. You can actually extend it and see a little bit more what is happening. You've got a whole lot of options that are available. So let's say, for example, we are looking for these kind of colors. You can actually go and add these to your Creative Cloud library. So let's find another set of colors that we could possibly use. Let's say, for example, we like this one. I can go and add it to my colors. You can see at the bottom here, it has gone and added it to my February scripts, and those colors are now available to me. Back in Illustrator now, if I come to my window menu and I come down here to my libraries, you can see that in my February scripts, over here at the top, here are all the colors that I have chosen, and you can see here at the bottom is the recent one that I just took from Adobe Color. Right? There are lots of different ways. You could also have a particular graphic. This is one that I found on Adobe Stock. And of course, I could go and choose these particular colors as well. So if I just open up my swatches panel, just to make this a little bit easier for you to be able to see, right? I can choose my eyedropper tool and then come in here and pick a particular color that I like. And then I can, of course, go and add these, whether it's be RGB or CMYK, to my swatches panel. Just a reminder, if the corner at the bottom is white and looks like it's been cut off, that means that it's a global color, and we can then go and change that color, and wherever we've used it within our design, we can go and change it everywhere. Whereas these that have not got corners cut, they just normal local colors. I'm just going to go and create a folder here, and I'm going to call this one Fashion Week 2025. And of course, I can now go and add whichever colors I want. So I can go and pick on the next color, and I can go and add that, right, and just drag it into my group. The reason why I'm doing this is because when I want to go and create patterns in a moment, I can then go and choose which of these groups I would like to be able to use. So as you can see here, I have got all my colors saved. If I want to choose colors from my library, I can do a number of things. I can just right click and say add the colors to swatches. That will do them individually, but if I right click and I go and say add theme to swatches, you can see I can then go and add the different themes that I like, and they have automatically made the groups. Note that these colors are not global colors. So just to show you how to make them global colors, just double click on the color that you want, check the little global check mark and say OK. And you can then go and do it for all the others as well. So here I have my colors, and now I want to go and create a nice trendy pattern that I can then go and use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my window menu. I'm going to come down here to pattern options. So this is going to open up a new panel for me, but there is a new generate pattern, which is still in beta in Illustrator, but you can try it out. It can give you some really, really nice results. So I'm going to make sure that my shape is selected, and we always try and use a square to be able to generate a repeating pattern. So I'm going to click on generate patterns. I have typed in here some bold, bright flowers, and I can click on the color options here. So it says color and tone. I can go and choose whatever kind I want. So I want these to be nice and bright. I can limit them to the number of colors that I wish to use, but I'm going to limit them with specific colors. So can you see here that these bottom colors are the groups that I had gone and created? So let's do these nice bright ones here at the bottom. So I'm going to select these particular colors. So let's say I like that one and these ones. So you can specify specific colors that you want. So here you can see I have generated the colors that I would like to use. Then next we can go and decide, what kind of effects would I like to have? Like doodle, do I want a flat design? Do I want more geometric? So let's say, for example, I want geometric. And of course, if I go into the settings here, I can decide whether the density of these effects must be low, medium, or high. So let's put it at medium, and let's go and say generate. As you can see, it has given me a sample, and then I can go and decide which of these are the ones that I like. You can always click on the little dots, and you can see you can either add this to your swatches panel, which you can see here it is already done for me at the bottom. All right, so all three of those are there already, but I can then go and say, edit this pattern if I am not 100% happy with it. And then I can come in here and I would be able to go and change all the little elements that I like. So maybe this particular one, I want a little bit more orange inside there, or green, or whatever color it is that I want to be able to have. So with bold flowers being in fashion at the moment, let's use the new object. Here, if you come to repeat and you choose radial, we can then go and decide here in the properties how much you would like, how many petals you would like. You can, of course, use these little adjusters so you can get the kind of shape that you are looking for. You can add more or less petals depending on what it is that you want to be able to have. And then maybe just to finish this off, the flower effect that I want. But I want to take this flower and I want to put it into a pair of gym leggings that I am busy designing. I'm going to select my design. I am then going to drag it and drop it into my Illustrator swatches panel. I am then going to move to the artboard of mine that has got the leggings on. I'm going to make sure that I have the new pattern selected in my swatches panel. I am then going to come to my toolbox and I'm going to select the Live Paint tool. It is grouped together with the Shape Builder. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hover over my design, and you can see that wherever it has got a red border and I click, it is now going to go and add the pattern to that particular area. But as you can see, my flower does not go very well with my pant design, and I need to make it a lot smaller. So I can then go and select my drawing using my selection tool. I am then going to go to my object menu and I'm going to choose transform. I'm going to choose the scale option, and I don't want my entire design to scale, so therefore I am going to deselect here where it says transform object, and I'm only going to keep the transform pattern option available. And you can now see that I've got it at about 20%, and my design is a lot smaller. If I look at my design, you can see it's very rigid. Everything is in rows. So I want to mix this up a little bit. In order to do that, I'm going to go to my object menu. I am going to come down here to pattern because I am working with a pattern, but you can see that my pattern is not selected, and that is because I don't have the pattern in the swatches panel selected. So make sure that your design is deselected, because if I select the swatch in the swatches panel, it's going to fill everything with that color, which is not what I don't want. So just make sure it's selected. I'm going to come to the object menu. I'm going to come down to pattern and I'm going to choose edit pattern. You are now going to see that I'm actually going to step into the Illustrator pattern, and I can now go and do a little bit of editing of this pattern, because you can see here that it has opened up my patterns options. And now I can go and decide, all right, what kind of tile type would I like? So I'm going to do a hex by column. So you can see that they just rearrange it slightly and it doesn't look like these continuous little rows. The next section here where it says width and height, this is not the width and height of the actual object, but the width and height of the pattern. So if I had to lower these values, then the flowers would come closer together. If I had to stretch it out a little bit, my pattern, my flowers would be a little bit further apart. If I did want to make a change, then what I could go and do is actually select the pattern itself, and I can then transform that pattern on its own. I can move my pattern. I can then even go and add some additional little elements to my pattern if I like. And now I can go and save a copy of this particular pattern, and let's call it Flower Whirl. And I can then go and say OK. And as you can see now, my pattern is not so boring. It is a little bit more exciting, and it flows a little bit more. Another way to be able to create a pattern in Illustrator is if you draw just a square shape and you come into your quick access tools that are hovering just below it. And if, of course, if yours is not visible, you can always find it under Window. And here you can see Contextual Taskbar. I'm going to click on Generate Vectors. And I'm going to put here flower pattern, and I'm going to click on the options, And this time I can decide, do I want a scene? Do I want a subject, which would be let's say it's a flower, whereas a scene might be a whole lot of flowers, or an icon. So I'm going to do a subject. I can come in here and choose a style reference if I want to. I could put some effects on here. So let me maybe choose geometric, and I could also come in here and choose the colors that I want. There we go. I've got my colors. Or maybe I just need one more. And now I can then go and say generate. Okay, so here you can see it has now generated one of the 3 patterns that are available for me that I could then go and use. I just want to show you here on the side. So these were created using the scene option instead of created using the subject option. If you want to use a particular pattern in Photoshop or something along those lines, it is really simple. I can go and select the pattern that I want to take through to Photoshop. I can go to either drag it into my library panel, because then it's going to be instantly available for me in Photoshop. I've got one here called February Scripts. So you can see here that it has added it as a graphic.